Welcome to another After School Special by the Tips team. My name is Will, and today we'll be taking a look at Google Shared Drives and some basic information you might need to know about them. When you first log into Google Drive, you'll usually end up landing in your My Drive. This is where the files that you own or that have been shared with you in some way will land. This differs slightly from the Shared Drives area below. Opening your Shared Drives will show you all of the shared drives that you've created or been provided access to. You can think of your shared drives in Google much like your shared P drive on your school server that you may have used in the past in a Windows setting. It's a place to put files where everyone in that area will be able to see and use. Unlike shared folders from your drive, which is really just sharing files with other users, putting files into these shared drive folders changes the ownership of those files from you or your other staff members to the ownership of the drive itself. This is an important distinction to make, as there is a change of ownership when adding files to these types of shared drives. When creating a shared drive is as simple as being in the shared drive section, clicking New, and providing it with a name. Upon creating a drive, you will be the only user in charge of that shared drive at this time. You will notice that you can, in the top left, add additional people. This can be done by clicking on the drop-down and selecting Manage Members. You'll notice that because you created the drive, you are a manager. That means you can do anything you want with this drive, add and subtract users, delete, edit, and manage files as you see fit. When adding another person to this drive, you will notice that you have some opportunities to provide them with other types of content management. We'll go through that list in a second. However, adding that person's access type, such as viewer, and clicking send will notify them and immediately add them as a user in that shared drive. Let's take a look at the different kinds of roles and what they might mean. As the manager of this shared drive, I can go in and take a look and change anyone's status. Selecting someone as a viewer will give them view-only access to absolutely everything within that shared drive. Commenter access will allow the users to view the files and materials in those shared drives and any subfolders and comment on them like they would be able to comment on a Google Doc. This will apply to all of the documents at once within that shared drive. Contributors can add and edit files. This is useful when you would like a group to provide input or share materials. However, you don't want them to be able to delete the materials. Contributors can add, as I said, edit, comment. However, they cannot delete materials from a shared drive. Content managers can do anything they would like with the content within a shared drive. Add, edit, move, and even delete files. However, they cannot add other users to the folder or change settings for the entire shared drive. And finally, managers are those users that can take care of everything to do with the folder up to and including removing access for other users and deleting the entire shared drive. This can be useful if you are in charge of a group of people who have a lot of documents they'd like to manage, or if you would like to provide this to other users on your team so that they can also go ahead and invite other people. Now that you know the basics of shared drives and how to create them and add access for other users, let's talk about a few things you should know and a few reminders that you should consider before using a shared drive. As mentioned before, when moving files into a shared drive, you are no longer the owner. This means that other managers or content managers can actually delete that file without your knowledge or permission because the file is the owner and they have those permissions. Another important thing is that when you move files into a shared drive, if you no longer have access to that shared drive, let's say you're part of a school shared drive, add files to it, and then move to another school and lose access to the original shared drive, those files will no longer be accessible to you because you are no longer the owner and no longer have the correct permissions. That ownership piece is an important thing to reflect on, as you may want to make copies of files to put in a shared drive for others to use, or when leaving a school or leaving an area where you may have no longer access to a shared drive, you will want to make copies of important files into your drive to take with you when you go. Another thing is that you may be added to a shared drive, and you may no longer want to have access to it. You can choose to remove yourself from a shared drive. However, if you're not sure, you can also simply hide a shared drive so you don't have to look at it anymore, but not lose access. This might be good for things you come back to only every once in a while, or things you're not sure if you'll actually need to have access to in the future. To hide a drive, simply enter the drive, click on the drop-down, and select Hide Shared Drive. This drive, when returning to shared drives, will no longer appear as a tile. If you would like to look at a shared drive you've hidden in the past, click Hidden Shared Drives, and it will provide you a list of those hidden drives, which can then be opened and unhidden by selecting the Unhide Shared Drive option. Hopefully, this quick review of Google Shared Drives, what they are, and when you might use them, will help you get started organizing your files for groups of people, including yourself, more effectively in the future. As always, if you have any questions, please reach out to your TIPS team member or head to tips.epsb.ca for more information.